I was 42 years old and I was at rock bottom. Let that sink in for a second. At an age when most men are hitting their stride, I was looking at a bank account that was empty and a future that looked even bleaker. I had gotten out of the service back in '97, and for the next 15 years, I was just spinning my gears, working dead-end jobs, and trying to figure out where I fit in a civilian world that didn't seem to have a place for a veteran like me. By 2012, I wasn't just broke. I was fundamentally convinced I wasn't smart enough to change my life. I had spent years telling myself that I wasn't academic or intellectual. I walked into a vocational school office in Jacksonville with one goal: enroll as an X-ray tech. Why? Because in my head, nursing was for the smart kids, and I was just the guy who got by. I was terrified of the science, terrified of the responsibility, and terrified that I'd just fail like I felt I was failing at everything else in my life. I was 42 and felt like I was already finished, but I was desperate. I needed the VA to fund a program so I could finally have some breathing room and a path to a real paycheck. That's when a salesman at the school, a guy who saw right through my excuses, looked at me and said, "Just take the entrance exam and see what happens." I took that test out of pure, unadulterated necessity, and to my own absolute shock, I passed it with flying colors. That moment was the spark that lit the fire. It proved that my military discipline, my ability to focus under pressure, and my life experience were worth more than any intelligence I thought I lacked. I used the VRAP program, what you now know as VR&E or Chapter 31, and I hit the reset button on my entire existence. If you are sitting there right now at 40 or 50, feeling like your window is closed, you are dead wrong. Your age isn't a handicap, it's your tactical advantage. You have a maturity and a no-fail attitude that a 20-year-old kid in nursing school can't even fathom. I didn't just start over, I launched a mission. I realized that nursing wasn't just a job or a career. It was a high-margin labor engine that would provide the capital for everything I wanted to build. Success in this game is about synergy and alignment. While I was in that nursing program, I didn't just get an education. I met my wife. She was a nurse from the Philippines, and we got married in 2015. That was the moment the millionaire nurse math officially took over our lives. Without picking up a single extra shift or working a second job, our household income doubled overnight. We were two veterans of the system, two nurses with high-demand skills, and one shared bank account. Most people get a raise and immediately buy a bigger car or a more expensive watch. We got a raise and we bought assets. We understood that our income was just the fuel, not the destination. Then 2020 hit. While the world was paralyzed by chaos and fear, the healthcare market exploded for those of us on the front lines. Our salaries didn't just grow, they doubled and tripled as the demand for experienced nurses reached a breaking point. We were sitting on a mountain of cash, but we didn't change our lifestyle one bit. We didn't move to a bigger house or go on a spending spree. We looked at the interest rates and the macroeconomic landscape. We moved with military precision and refinanced our primary residence right here in Northeast Florida at 2.75%. Think about the power of that number. We had a six-figure surplus hitting our bank account every month from our salaries, and our single largest expense, our housing cost, was locked in at near zero interest. This is the double engine effect. When you have two high earners in one house with a unified goal, you aren't just living, you are a wealth-building machine. We stopped trading our time for money and started trading our scrubs for leverage. We weren't just working shifts, we were funding a war chest for the next phase of the mission. You have to be ready to strike when someone else is ready to quit. I had a coworker who hated everything about the Florida terrain. He hated the heat, he hated the politics, and he just wanted to go back to his roots in Maine. He was a motivated seller, and because we had been disciplined with our COVID pay, I was a prepared buyer. We bought his lakefront vacation home for $90,000. $90K for a lakefront asset on a 15-year term at 3.5% interest. At the time, people thought it was just a getaway spot. But 1 year later, we stopped calling it a vacation and started calling it a rental. It became a positive cash flow machine that paid us while we slept. That is the core principle. Seek out the exits that others are desperate to take and turn them into your strategic entries. But we didn't stop with the lake house. We looked across the ocean at the global market. We picked up a Camella model home in the Philippines for $70,000 USD. Now, our wealth isn't just tied to the fluctuations of the U.S. economy. We have a global safety net. We have a primary in Florida, a rental in Florida as well, and a foothold in the Philippines. We accumulated over $1 million in assets because we refused to settle for one income stream or one geographical location. We used the VA to get the degree, the nursing salary to fund the expansion, and the low interest rates to protect our margins. Most people hit their 50s and start thinking about how to survive until retirement. I hit 50 and started thinking about how to build a global empire. You don't need a PhD or a finance degree to do this. You need the discipline to stay the course and the guts to act when the opening appears. Let's talk about the $1 house and how we secured our home base in Northeast Florida. We found a DR Horton new construction community in a high-growth corridor, and we were the third house started in the entire development. Being early is everything in real estate. We put down $1,500 in earnest money just to lock in the lot and the price. Because of the VA loan, we didn't need a single penny for a down payment, and we had zero private mortgage insurance. Because we used the builder's preferred lender, they covered every cent of the closing costs. At the end of the day, when I sat at that closing table, they handed me a check back for $1,499. I essentially bought a brand new modern home for a net cost of $1. By the time the neighborhood was finished and the amenities were in, we had $20,000 in pure forced equity without ever lifting a hammer. This is the builder arbitrage. If you aren't a veteran, you can still win with the Florida Hometown Heroes program. In May 2026, the income cap for the Jacksonville metro area, Duval, Clay, St. Johns, and Nassau has moved to $153,750. This allows nurses to get up to $35,000 in down payment and closing cost assistance. But for the veterans, you have the ultimate trump card. You can use your VA entitlement over and over again. You can buy a primary, live in it for a year, turn it into a rental, and move to the next one. This is how you stack houses like a deck of cards. We chose Northeast Florida because it's a high-growth engine. St. Johns County is a magnet for high-net-worth families. Clay County is exploding with new infrastructure. Nassau is the next great frontier. When you buy early in these developments, you're capturing the builder's profit margin for yourself. Don't wait for the neighborhood to be nice. Buy when the dirt is moving. Use your VA guarantee to take control of a six-figure asset for zero cash out of pocket. I was born and raised right here in Northeast Florida, and I've seen this area become the premier destination for veterans and healthcare workers from all over the country. Why Florida? Because the math doesn't lie and the tax code doesn't cheat. No state income tax means an immediate 5 to 10% raise for every nurse who relocates here. On top of that, you have massive property tax breaks for disabled veterans that are unmatched in most states. If you're 10% disabled, you get a $5,000 exemption on your assessed value. But if you're 100% P&T, you pay zero property taxes on your primary residence. In a county like St. Johns or Clay, that is $5,000 to $8,000 a year in pure savings that goes straight back into your investment fund. This is the Millionaire Nurse lifestyle. It's about the total advantage, where every program, every tax break, and every salary increase is aimed at one goal: legacy. At 42, I thought I was washed up. Today, I am an authority in this space because I refuse to play by the rules that keep most people broke. I use the VA programs to fund my reset. I use the nursing market to fund my wealth, and I use the Florida terrain to protect it. You can do the exact same thing if you stop making excuses and start making moves. Every day you sit in doubt is a day you leave money on the table for someone else to pick up. When I walked into that school office in 2012, I had no idea that a single entrance exam would lead to a lakefront home in Florida and a global real estate portfolio. I didn't think I was smart enough, but I proved I was disciplined enough. And discipline beats intelligence every single time in the wealth building game. In Northeast Florida, the opportunities for a veteran nurse who understands the VA loan are limitless. You can buy in Yulee, you can buy in Middleburg, you can buy in the growth paths of St. Augustine, you can build equity while you sleep. You can leverage your household income to snag properties from people who don't understand the value of the dirt they're standing on. We didn't get lucky with our investments. We were prepared. We had the high margin nursing labor providing the cash flow, and we had the military mindset to act when the opening appeared. This is what it means to be a millionaire nurse. It means your license is your passport to financial freedom. It means your household is a high yield investment vehicle. It means your veteran status is the ultimate insurance policy against poverty. If you are sitting in a high-tax state right now, grinding out shifts for a system that doesn't respect your bank account or your service, it's time to move. It's time to relocate to the Jacksonville metro area where the 2026 income caps for Hometown Heroes favor the bold. It's time to stop paying rent to a landlord and start collecting it from a tenant. It's time to stop worrying about whether you can pass a test and start leaning on the discipline that got you through the service. Everything I have today is because I took that entrance exam when I was at my absolute lowest point. I didn't have a sophisticated 5-year plan. I just had a direction and a refusal to fail. That direction led to $1 million reality. You have the same tools, the same programs, and the same high-growth market waiting for you right here in Florida. Get the relocation guides, check the updated income caps for 2026, and reach out to my team. We are moving veterans into positions of power and wealth every single day. The interest rates will fluctuate and the market will shift, but the value of a veteran nurse in Florida is a constant that you can bank on. Stop waiting for the right time and start creating it with the benefits you earned. Every shift you pick up is another brick in the wall of your empire. Every property you secure is a fortress for your family's future. I started over at 42 and I never looked back, neither should you. Everything you want is on the other side of fear.